Hi everyone, welcome back to She Equips Herself. My name is Stav, and I received a question from one of you recently that made me realize that in the I think I have over 200 videos on this channel right now. In any of those videos, I haven't gone in depth or done an entire video on carrying around in the chamber. So I want to read you the question I received, and then we're going to talk about it in this video, because I know that for a lot of new shooters, or even people who've been carrying for a while, who might not carry with around in the chamber, there's a lot of things to consider and think about when you decide, am I going to carry with around in the chamber, or am I going to have to rack the slide to chamber around if I ever need to use my gun? So here's the question I got. Do you always carry with a bullet in the chamber? I recently started making it a habit of carrying daily in either my sticky holster, tucked in jeans, or my holster leggings, but I haven't gotten truly comfortable with having a bullet in the chamber. I know how fast things can happen, and I want to get over this discomfort / fear of some accidental firing while my gun is tucked in the holster. What do you think? Well, first of all, thank you to the person who DM'd me this message. This was through Instagram. It's important to think about and to understand why some people carry with around in the chamber and why some people don't. I have always carried with around in the chamber. I started carrying a gun in 2016 is when my restriction was removed from the city of Boston. I was legally allowed to carry a gun on my body out and about. And ever since then, I've been carrying with around in the chamber. I don't think there's been a day when I've carried without around in the chamber. And I'm gonna link a video down below by Active Self-Protection. I think it's called like This Is Why You Carry with Around in the Chamber, that goes into a lot of different examples on video of real life situations. And John Correa of Active Self-Protection talks about each situation and kind of explains it. But that's a really good video to watch, so you can see multiple examples of good reasons why you should carry with around in the chamber. So first, let's talk about what it means to carry with around in the chamber, because if you're new to guns, you might not understand what that means. So let's go over it. Here I have my 9mm Shield Plus Carry Comp, and I'm gonna use some dummy rounds. This gun is totally empty. There's nothing in the magazine because safety. So I'm just gonna use some dummy rounds I have here, and I'm gonna load a few into the magazine. Now, if you're brand new to guns and you don't really understand all of this terminology, first of all, I'm so glad you're starting to learn and you're curious. I do have an online course that teaches you the basics of like what all of this means and how these things operate and all that, and the basics of getting into concealed carry. And then I have a live fire course as well that my husband teaches. That's also totally online. If you want to enroll in my online courses, they're currently on sale. I have my Black Friday sale going all the way to Christmas, and the bundle of 2 courses in one is 15% off, as well as each individual course. It's just the bundle is even cheaper if you get them together. So check that out. But the first one, the Armed and Confident Academy, will really teach you like how all of this operates. But the 2 ways that we're talking about right now are carrying without a round in the chamber or carrying with a round in the chamber. So I have 6 rounds in this magazine right now, 6 dummy rounds. And if I were going to carry without a round in the chamber, the way that this woman in this lovely question asked me, I would close the slide, I'd send it forward, and then I would take my 6-round magazine, or this would obviously be full if you're going to carry it, and I put it into the magazine well, and then I don't do anything. So now all 6 of those rounds are just sitting in the magazine right in here. If I were in some sort of self-defense situation and I had to use my gun, I would have to take my other hand and rack the slide, and what happened there is it took the top round off the magazine and brought it into the chamber. This is how I normally carry. I do that before I put my gun in its holster to carry for the day. I carry with a round in the chamber. That's what that means. So now I have 5 in the magazine, 1 in the chamber, 6 rounds total still. And that also allows you, if you carry with a round in the chamber, to now take your magazine out when you're loading it and put 1 more round in there, because you just put 1 in the chamber. And if you live somewhere like Massachusetts, where we can only carry 10-round magazines as your run-of-the-mill civilians, that means that you can carry 10 rounds in your magazine, and I have 1 in the chamber, so that allows legally 11 rounds, because I still have a 10-round magazine. That's totally legal. It just gives me 1 extra round that I might need if there's more than one bad guy. If I miss some of my shots, like, things go down fast and human beings are really bad under stress. So the more rounds we can carry, the better. And unfortunately, some of our states limit that because I believe it's because of a lack of education and a lot of political drama going on in the firearms world. It's not based on what we actually need as civilians or what will keep society safer, but we make do. And so this allows you to carry 10 in the magazine and 1 in the chamber. It just gives you another extra round, which is nice. Now you saw when I racked the slide to chamber that round, it takes a little bit of time. It doesn't happen in a second. And one thing to think about is, what if when I need to draw my gun, my other hand is busy? I'm a righty, so while my right hand is drawing my gun, what if I have to push someone away? What if someone's trying to hurt me and I'm trying to like defend myself, or like if they're trying to beat me with a bat or something, I'm trying to block it and save my head? There's so many situations where this hand might not be available. Or what if my right hand gets injured and I have to draw with my left hand? Like, you just never know. And then how would I chamber around that way? Now, our Practical Handgun Academy, which is our live fire course, does go over one-handed shooting, because I think that that's really important. One-handed manipulation. If my left hand gets hurt as a righty and I have to draw my gun, or even if I have to chamber around with just one hand, do you know how to do that? Because these are things that we should be training, and we go over all of that in the course. And it's just really important because there are a lot of situations where you might not have both of your hands. And how would you chamber around if one of your hands is unavailable? That's something really important you need to think about. For me, it's just one more thing that can slow me down in a situation that happens really fast usually. I don't have time to do all that much thinking, and there could be a malfunction if you go to chamber around. Now, if I'm loading my gun in the safety of my home and I do this, I can look at it and see that there's no malfunction. The slide went forward properly. I can see the round is in the chamber. Everything went fine because I'm not under stress and I know that this gun is ready to go. It's a lot different from if I'm in a high stress situation and I have to then chamber around while someone's attacking me or something horrible is happening. I can cause a malfunction and then my gun will go click instead of bang when I need it to go bang. And there's just too much that can go wrong in that situation for me to be comfortable carrying that way. It's just one more thing that can slow you down. And I go over safeties in my online course and how I feel about those, but it's basically the same thing. It's one more thing that can slow you down. That doesn't mean that a safety is wrong in all situations, but I do go over that more in the course. It's just not for me. I don't like things that can slow me down if my life is on the line. And so I don't like external safeties for the most part, and I don't like carrying without a round in the chamber. But the fear is legitimate. You don't want to have an accident, and I know that people will carry in holsters that they feel uncomfortable in, and I think that that is where we really need to start. You don't want to carry in gear that you feel uncomfortable in. So this person who asked this question mentioned 2 types of holsters. One is the sticky holster. I've been carrying in this a lot. My favorite carry gun right now is the Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 2.0, not the original. And I will carry this little cutie in my sticky holster. It just slides right in. And then the sticky holster goes into the waistband of my pants. And it just hangs out in there. And because of the sticky material, when I draw my gun, the holster stays put. So, my Bodyguard is empty right now. One thing I would recommend doing is when you get a holster, if you don't feel safe with it, take the holster and your empty gun. Make sure the gun is totally empty. There's no live rounds anywhere around you. Put it in the holster and see if you can somehow press the trigger through the holster. Now this sticky holster, I can't fathom how I would do that, just because like it has this thick material here. I don't know how I would ever be able to press the trigger through that, or how anything else, like any clothing, or like if a kid comes up and hugs me, it's just not gonna happen. Like even pressing in and up, it's just not, it's not happening. So if you're questioning whether or not your holster is safe, that's the first thing I would do. Test it out, because I do have belly bands that I used to carry in where I could press the trigger through the material. And thankfully there are solutions now that you can put things like this inside those pockets if your pockets are a little too thin, like your holster pockets. These are specifically for concealed carry leggings. This is the DeSantis trigger guard that Alexo Athletica sells with their leggings. So you stick it in the holster pocket because that pocket is just a thin material. And then your gun sits inside that. And so it allows for that trigger to be protected. And again, I can't press it through that trigger guard. So test out your gear. If it's possible to pull the trigger through whatever holster you're using, don't carry in it. Or get something like this where you can protect your trigger and it makes it impossible to press the trigger through the material. There are so many different solutions now for keeping your trigger protected, like this thing. It's amazing. It's sticky, so it sticks in the pocket but protects your trigger. So find something like that if you have a holster that you really like, but you don't feel 100% comfortable, like the leggings. Get trigger protection, super important. And if you can pull the trigger through the material, don't carry in that. Another thing is when you're holstering your gun, like I'm about to leave my house and I have to holster my loaded gun. This is not loaded because we're still just talking. But say it was loaded. If you have to holster your gun, like do it slowly. You're at home, there's no pressure. So just slow down, holster safely. With something like this, I do have to holster it before I put it in my waistband. So it's already protecting the trigger before I put it on my body. But if you're holstering a firearm into like an inside the waistband Kydex or an outside the waistband, whatever, leather holster, do it slow. You're not in a rush, so just do it safely and slowly and make sure that your finger is nowhere near the trigger. Follow your gun safety rules. Also, practice drawing your gun frequently with an empty gun out of whatever holster you're carrying because I think some people are afraid that on the draw, their finger's gonna make its way to the trigger and they're gonna shoot themselves. Don't do that. Practice your draw a lot so that your finger is only landing on that trigger when you're out and ready to fire. That's what you want. And we go over the steps of the draw a lot on this channel, in my online courses. If you're unsure how to do the draw, I can teach you. We go over the steps of the draw in the Practical Handgun Academy and how to get your gun out safely and on target and the steps of that, how it all works. So if you don't know how to do it, check that out, but practice your draw a lot and make sure your finger's not landing on that trigger until it's time to shoot, okay? Very important. To not carry with around in the chamber for me would be like the last resort option. If I only had a gun that had an extremely light trigger that I felt really uncomfortable carrying, I probably wouldn't carry that in the first place, but if that was my only option, then maybe I wouldn't carry around in the chamber. My only wish is that if you don't carry with around in the chamber, please, please, please practice chambering around every single time you draw your gun, because if you ever need to use that muscle memory, it needs to be quick. Hopefully you'll have both your hands available. There's a chance that you might not though, which is why I always carry with around in the chamber. So that's just my little spiel on it. I know that everybody has their own opinions. For me, I just want to be able to get my shots on target as fast as I need to, because if I'm drawing my gun, it is serious and there's some sort of threat of death or bodily harm, and I need to get my gun out quick and not have anything slow me down, especially if someone's attacking me, if someone's really close to me and I need to use my hand, all that stuff. Let me know what you guys thought. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe. Bye.